Stupid fucking title. Let's just call it Coming to America 2 versus confusing the fuck out of everybody by calling it Coming Number 2 America. That's, to me, just stupid.
No, I like that.
If I say to you right now, Coming to America, which movie do you think I'm referring to?
The first film.
How would you know that?
But
yo, Coming to America, thoughts, go.
Living in America. Listen, I listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? Yeah. I was saddened by the lack of story in Coming to America 2. It was visually, it was fun to watch, the costumes and the set and the stage design, like everything about the film from just a visual perspective was good. I loved seeing all of the cast members from the previous film return again. Like their costumes were fantastic. The scenery, the images of like what Zamunda would look like, that was stunning. The elephant was kind of weird. I think they could have brought in the B team to do the elephant. That definitely wasn't the A team's work. That was B team for sure. But again, visually, this is a good movie. It was a fun movie to watch. I do wonder what the intent was. Like when they made this movie, was it to tell a complete story or to finish the story of Coming to America? Or was this just like, hey, it's been 20, 30 years since we made the first one. People want to see another one. Like, let's just make a fun, lighthearted movie and let's get the gang back together. Like, if that was
I think that's exactly it, my friend. I think it was just,
I hope so.
Let's just get the crew back together. Because I don't think this is born out of, because we weren't, like, as much as we might have been looking for a part 2 of Coming to America,
I wasn't dying for it.
Yeah, looking for it, really.
So if that was the intent, if it was like, hey, let's get the gang back together, let's just have fun with this like wild, crazy movie that people love the first one, let's do it again. Yeah. Then I get it. If this movie, like, if this was supposed to be like a more serious movie, and this was supposed to be like we really care about telling this, but I don't part 2 of the story, did not.
By watching the movie, I don't think that they were taking themselves too seriously. I think that they were just like, all right, let's just have fun with it. Whatever we do, let's just have fun with it. Look, I think this is a classic case of expectation versus reality, right? Look, the first time we ever have sex, right? There's the expectation of it, and there's the reality, right? The expectation is like, oh man, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. But the reality of it, a little awkward. You're not really sure exactly what the fuck to do. Things are happening. You're just like, I don't know what's going on here, but let me act like I do, right? Expectation versus reality, right? That's what happened with Coming to America for me. Look, I knew, and we talked about it on this very podcast, right? I kept saying that I know it's going to be a terrible movie, but fuck it, I'm just excited to return to this world. Here's the thing. When I watched the first 45 minutes of the movie, and then my girlfriend, she saw my mood change so dramatically that she was like, I think we should probably stop watching this movie. We were on a little mini vacation. We were chilling. It was a great time. And then all of a sudden we were like, hey, let's throw on this movie. It's the end of the night. Let's just watch this and cool out for the rest of the night. But she was like, this movie is disturbing you so much that we probably should stop it. And I was like, I am in agreement with you. It almost ruined the vacation for me. Right. So coming out of those first 45 minutes, I was like, this is an unwatchable movie. I simply cannot watch this movie. It's a bastardization of everything that I loved about the first movie. The first movie was a fish out of water story that told the tale from a really humanistic standpoint of what it was like coming from a different country to this one. And trying to assimilate, trying to become one with the country, even as the country persistently rejects you, which I thought they did both beautifully as well as hilariously. They put Hakeem and Simi in really interesting scenarios that I thought depicted this all very fucking well. All of that was disappeared in the first 45 minutes of this movie, right? But I will say, for having this conversation, obviously I went back and watched the rest of the movie. I will say it wasn't the worst thing that I've ever seen. Okay.
No, not at all.
This is even spoken from when we had our conversation about this. I think we talked about it Monday. This is before I had watched the end of it. I was basically saying my eyes were assaulted for having seen this movie. I am a lesser person for having watched this fucking atrocity of a film. I retract those statements. I thought that they did a serviceable job. Look, this is why I talk about expectation versus reality, right? My expectation was that it wasn't going to be a good movie, but it's at least going to be somewhat similar to what I remember the first coming to of America to be. But I think that the reality of the situation is they couldn't write this from that perspective. They had to tell a completely new story with a completely different voice for the time period that we're in. How weird would it have been for them to kind of rehash basically just the same story or just the same in the same voice as they did in the first film in 2021. The first movie was what, 1987?
80, I believe it was 88.
88? Yep. 1988. A year after I was born. It'd be fucking weird if they had the same voice that they had from back then and try to use that same voice now. It would be odd. It wouldn't really work. This movie was a little more fantastical than I would especially at the beginning. It was a little hard for me to believe. Like I thought the whole death scene with King
Jaffe.
King Jaffe. That I thought that shit was corny. You know, I thought that shit was lame. It made it seem like a caricature, kind of. You know, it almost felt like they were making fun of Zamunda versus actually painting it as like a place. You know, which I felt like they did. Like the balance that they struck with the first movie of making Zamunda this like larger than life place, but still somewhat believable, was a hard balance, but I think they struck it perfectly well in the first movie. This movie, especially in those first like 40-45 minutes, I thought they missed the mark completely with painting Zamunda as like a place that you're like, oh, okay, like this is a cool place. Like it's not just this like funny, weird ass place, but it's a cool place, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I think that you have to manage with movies like this. You have to manage expectations versus reality.
I think the difficult thing with this movie is like people are watching it and they want to be reminded a lot of the previous film, right? But you also have to tell a new story. So there had to be that balance. It's like here's a lot of the old, right? Here's a lot of like old characters, old situations, here's a calling to like things that happened in the previous film with these characters that you know that you're familiar with, but at the same time we're telling a new story. So that was the balance that they had to make, right? So in doing something like passing the mantle from King Jaffe to I'm sorry, what's Eddie Murphy's character's name again? Hakeem, yeah, to King Hakeem, right? Like they kind of had to rush that and do it a little bit quickly. And I think it was somewhat paying a respect to James Earl Jones. Like, let's not give him like a slow, painful, sad death. Let's make it a celebration and a party, and like let's do it quickly and get it over with because we've got so much other story to tell. So could it have been done better? Yes, but it was fun to see how they did it. They had salt and pepper in there. Pat was it? No, it was Gladys Knight. Who else did they have? There was another In Vogue. Like it was a fun celebration.
It all felt forced, and it felt just like you said. It all felt rushed. It all felt like we were just 1,000 miles an hour in the completely weird direction, right?
Yeah.
Didn't need any.
But it wasn't horrible though. It wasn't. It was rushed. It could have been done a little bit better, but it wasn't horrible.
I thought I personally, and again, this is why I think that art is art, right? Like this movie and what this movie revealed to me, man, is like how personally we take movies, how personally we take art, because I was confused, shocked that people were like, oh, it was a good movie. I liked it. I was, after watching the first 45 minutes, I was like, are you all brain dead? I don't understand what the fuck, what about it did you like, right? Watching the movie through and through, okay, I feel like, okay, there were some things there that were redeemable. Was it as good as the first one? Absolutely not. But honestly, was it really trying to be better than the first one? No, it wasn't. It was a completely different movie, different hemisphere, different everything that we were dealing with in this movie from a completely different voice. And so, yeah, I had to check myself of being like, all right, calm down, right? This is how you perceive the film, but it's okay that others feel differently. And you shouldn't fucking take shit so personally. Like I was like offended that other people like this movie. And it's like, you really shouldn't take art that way, because art is subjective no matter what the fuck you say, no matter what you do. Even if you have objectively terrible art, um, it's still subjective. It's still like, that's why they fucking have paintings in fucking museums and shit, or in art galleries that we're just like, I don't know why the fuck people are buying this, but all right, if you're saying it's good, great. But I think we could say the same thing about movies. Like, all right, if somebody's feeling this, all right, they're feeling it for a reason, right? Like, and a lot of it has to do with, at least for me, a lot of the movies that I like that I know are terrible from when I was a kid are because of nostalgia, right? Like, I know all Steven Seagal movies suck. I know the plots don't really make any sense. I know he's not really breaking people's arms like that. It's not even kung fu that he's doing. It's just some weird ass shit that he's just like, let me just lazily break your arm here. Snap. I know that shit is whack, but I fucking love the shit out of it. While other people might watch it and be like, this shit is whack beyond repair. Don't ever turn that on the TV again. Some other people might look at that as such, but whatever.
Yeah, listen, my final thoughts on this is like, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad they made a part two. It was fun to just see. It was fun to see this thing again, see all the characters come back. It was fun. It wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen. It wasn't the worst movie I've seen this year either. But I'm glad it was done. I enjoyed it, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's nothing more, nothing less.
I think that is a perfect fucking place to conclude this conversation. But let us know in the comment section below, what the fuck do you guys think of Coming to America? Just a little adage here. Stupid fucking title. Let's just call it Coming to America 2 versus confusing the fuck out of everybody by calling it Coming Number 2 America. That's, to me, just stupid.
No, I like that.
It's so confusing, because if I'm saying, what movie am I referring to when I say Coming to America?
Well, if you see the two, you know that this is the second movie.
Again, if I say to you right now, Coming to America, which movie do you think I'm referring to?
The first film.
How would you know that?
But again, if you're this is like a digital content, right? Digital property. So if you're scrolling through Amazon and you see Coming to America, it's part two. Exactly. You gotta have the title looks better. The title it looks better like that than Coming to America and then the number 2 at the end.
No, it absolutely never mind. Doesn't matter.
This is design. Just design.
Just a little pet peeve of mine. But let us know in the comment section what the fuck you guys think about the movie. Yay, nay, or indifferent. Anyways, moving on to our next story.